and the long-term impact as you start to go through that hormonal shift through perimenopause and menopause, the largest impact that that hormone shift has in women, which does not compare in men, is specifically related to bone density and heart health issues. And the impact to the bone density thing happens much earlier than we think. So if we're not having the conversation till 40, it's not that we can't do prevention from things getting worse, but we can't make up for the damage that was already done. I think that's alarming. And
thank you for tuning into Time for You Evolve for female entrepreneurs. Remember, you have what it takes to achieve greatness. Your time is now. You're here with me, you're ready to change lives, and you're ready to change the world. Isn't it time to skip over the confusion and start creating sustainable and consistent results? We're going to pull back the curtain and start giving meaning to life in this podcast. Time for You Evolved. Hey, my name is Lisa Carmichael, and I am obsessed with everything online. It's no secret, in this crowded and highly competitive business world, we need to stand out. It's even more important at a deeper level to stand up for ourselves. I am a farm girl who grew up shy with zero confidence. If someone had suggested that I would eventually start a podcast, I would never have believed it. As a farm kid, I had the unique opportunity to embrace a holistic approach to life. All the seasons of growth were lessons that have helped me and other female entrepreneurs find success when they've been stuck and struggling. The Time for You Evolve podcast is here to help you navigate business online so you can be laser focused and help you navigate the messy and the magical in every season of your business. Pull up a seat to hear the tried and true secrets that other female entrepreneurs like you are facing, and get ready for real talk while you learn. This is the Time for You Evolved podcast. Hey there, entrepreneurs, ready to work smarter, not harder? Then you're in for a treat. Let's talk about video marketing, the smart approach that attracts, retains, and converts faster than any other strategy out there. Hey, I get it. Video marketing can be daunting. You know, you should be doing it, but you're not quite ready to take that leap, or you're frustrated because you're not looking like a pro. Hey, I get it. Who can blame you? Creating videos can be frustrating, time-consuming, and downright intimidating. That's where Big View comes in. It's the solution for your frustration. With Big View, you can create professional videos with ease thanks to its teleprompter app. I've been using Big View for years. Did you know that? Big View is an app that has saved me a lot of time and hassle. The app makes it easy to create professional looking videos. It's an online teleprompter that allows the presenter to keep eye contact with the camera while reading the text they need to speak. Using a teleprompter app allows the reader to sound natural without cue cards or notes to fumble or looking down while you're speaking. And the best part is that Big View allows you to focus on your performance and delivery so your confidence shines through. You get to keep eye contact with the camera while you're reading your script. Whether you're a marketer, a blogger, a trainer, a freelancer, a publisher, or business owner, Big View is designed with you in mind. If you're ready to take your video marketing game to the next level, click on the Big View link on my website, lisarcarmichael.com/bigview. Join me and be the best presenter you can be and learn how to make great presentations. And that's lisarcarmichael.com/bigview. Heartfelt, I'm so grateful for you, Annemarie, for coming live with me. And I appreciate your time and taking time out of your busy schedule. That is definitely not tongue in cheek, because we've talked about the sedentary population. And you and I are
both not in that category. Today's guest is Annemarie Sampson, and she has served the fitness community for the past 38 years. And these days she works with high school athletes and active women, which fits right in with our ambitious, multi-passionate female entrepreneur listeners. So her love and knowledge for sustainability is what connected Annemarie and myself. Annemarie and I met through Instagram, through social media. It was one of those things where people think social media can be bad, but it really brought the two of us together as we supported each other as female entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So what I love most about Annemarie is that she loves to talk about what women aren't willing to talk about. And hopefully we're going to hear how Annemarie has been able to bust some of those myths, because we aren't talking about women's health. We're not talking about hormones because we weren't raised that way. What aren't women really talking about, in your opinion, Annemarie?
Anything.
Everything, right?
Everything. I had a conversation with my colleague today, and listen, this isn't to put blame or shame on anybody. There were certain taboo subjects, right? Back in the day when there were periods of time when women were menstruating, that they were put off somewhere, right? Like under a tent where they were all menstruating together and, weren't even allowed in the village. And I can't speak intelligently to what goes on geographically, globally. I'm connected in a few different areas just through the broader scope of women's health and wellness. So I understand that there's cultural implications to a lot of it. But as it relates specifically to the US, what I do know is the lack of intentional conversation and lack of pointing towards research and data is more harmful than not. And that's super young. And that's one of the initiatives we're really working on. That starts with having conversations with our middle school girls who, are probably beginning to menstruate and develop breasts. Certainly by the time young girls get into high school, my focus is in particular high school athletics because it's a captive audience. And what's happening to a woman's body, a girl's body, a female body at that age impacts their ability to perform well, but it also impacts their longevity. We see, a huge decline of girls in sport in high school. And a big piece of that is because they're uncomfortable with their changing bodies. It's uncomfortable, right? Like,
sure.
Especially in high school.
Having a flashback to my high school days. And, when you don't have that conversation, it makes it even more uncomfortable. As embarrassing as it is to have the conversation, there's so much curiosity.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I know what's right or not right. And there's so much, and I don't want to get into the dynamic of what's appropriate to have a conversation about in outside of the family. I do believe that so many of those conversations have to happen in the family. What I do know, because I've been in high school girls athletics long enough, is that is impactful, and it is really changing somebody's ability to stay with high school athletics. And by the way, we know that girls and boys that stay with high school athletics have much less chance of dropping out of school. They have higher grades. They have better social connect. I mean, athletics are good for us, right? But if we can't get girls to stay connected to athletics, we're losing that opportunity to have all those other things happen well. So we do know that, and the reason kids drop out, and we're doing the surveys, I'm going to have to send you one of my surveys. The reason kids drop out aren't because they don't like the coach and they don't like their teammates. They're dropping out because they're uncomfortable being in gym shorts or they can't find the right jog bra. This is legit. I'm not making this stuff up. They don't know what to do when they're menstruating. Like, those are the reasons girls are dropping out of sport.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to ask you if we can get that survey. We'll put that in the show notes because
that'd be great.
You're working on a big project with that, right?
Big project. Yeah. Big project.
Anybody that completes that survey will help you find more data for what
Yeah.
you're rolling out.
And we want to hear your voice too. I mean, that's the big piece, right? We want to hear your voice. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your story.
Very
Yeah.
cool. So let's segue into our age group
Yeah.
as we're talking about, you talk a lot about perimenopause,
Yeah.
menopause, and hormone health.
Yeah.
And you're really making a big difference in your community, and you're actually reaching out. You're thinking about doing something virtually. And are
Yeah.
you willing to share or open to sharing a little bit more
Yeah.
about that? Okay.
So I think that it goes back to kind of the taboo subject. No one talked to me about perimenopause. I went through perimenopause. I didn't necessarily know I was going through perimenopause because I think sometimes people think it just happens when really it's years, right? It takes years to go through that process. And the things I was experiencing, I didn't have hot flashes and I didn't have night sweats. So nobody ever said, including, my doctors, never said I was going through menopause. But the things I was concerned about and the things that I was talking about, not openly, but certainly to a select group of people, I was talking about things like brain fog, huge fatigue, disrupted sleep patterns, being lethargic, quick to anger. I had a temper and I was short fused, and that wasn't really my personality. And when I would say that to people, they're like, "Oh, well, you're struggling with stress, or you probably need some help. You need to see a psychiatrist, or." And the reality is that maybe those things were true, but what I know for a fact was true is I was going through perimenopause. And those are the most common symptoms that women complain about. It's not hot flashes and night sweats. It's all these other things, this fatigue, this anger, this brain fog, this lack of desire. And no one's talking about that. So typically they're so brushed off. And so I think that my experience with that, in combination with what I know now, I know there's a gentler way to get through perimenopause. And then once we hit menopause, and once you hit menopause, that means that you haven't had a menstrual cycle for 12 months. Once you hit that, you're in this post-menopausal place. And there's so much that goes on in that space. Like, let's say you're post-menopausal at 50 or 55. I don't know what that number is. If we're living until 90, that's 35, 40 more years. That is the bulk of our life. And the fact that nobody is talking about that. And the interesting piece is that you want to know what also happens during that phase of life. And I'm talking to so many people who are so much smarter than me. So I just want to say that about things like pap smears, bone density, gynecological exams. People stop doing all that stuff. And that is not the time to stop doing that stuff. That's the time to be more connected with a doctor than ever, because that's when things can start to go wrong really fast. But women stop going because they just assume, right? Like, well, what could go wrong at this place? Well, a lot can go wrong. So, but we don't talk about that. So things like bone fractures, we don't talk about that. There's some incredible women out there that are doing, gynecologists, people who are in, bone health, women who are focused on this perimenopause, menopause conversation, sports nutrition, all that stuff. There's so many women out there doing research, collecting data, and really trying to find a voice. And that's what I hope I am. I hope I'm a voice to show people, like, there are people out there that can show you there's a way through this, and we can thrive, and we can, grow, and we can do incredible things like, like what you just did over the weekend. Like, we're not meant to sit around for the next 50 years, in a chair putting groceries away. Not that I'm not talking about the grocery thing, but it's this sedentary, don't fall, like, be careful. We don't need to be careful. We need to be bold.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Annemarie, I just love that. And what Annemarie is all about is information education. It's information we don't talk about that we haven't heard before. And Anne-Marie's been around the block. She's a certified running coach, a yoga instructor, a personal trainer, a wellness coach, and so much more. So I don't want anyone to dismiss anything, because Anne-Marie has been working with women, like I said at the beginning, for 38 years. And I love her mantra: train like a girl with a girl.
Yeah, exactly.
And, that's what sets you apart, because you get it, you understand it. You're doing the research, you've done the research, and it makes more sense when you're on information overload from everyone telling you
Yeah.
what to do, versus now Anne-Marie has really niched down and gotten to know her own body and her health, and has been working with women for so long.
Yeah. The interesting piece of that, just from an entrepreneurial, I'm going to pivot for just a minute.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting when you are an entrepreneur. That's one of the things people tell you all the time, niche down, niche down. And I was so afraid of doing that when I first started my career. And listen, I have certainly trained men, and I'm not going to tell you that I don't train men. I do. It is not where my focus is. It's not where my energy lies. I'm really happy that I have some of the clients that I have, because they pay my bills. I'm just going to be like honest, right? At the time when I started in this industry, men had more opportunity to manage their schedules than women did. Women were working and they were managing the house and taking care of kids. Men had more free time. That's just the way it went down. That's starting to shift, and that's starting to pivot as, home life looks a little different with dual working parents now. So some of that has changed. So I don't want to say that I haven't trained men, but going back to the entrepreneurial piece, I was afraid to niche down. And then when I finally got bold enough to do it, just interesting, because somebody had said something to me the other day. They're like, gosh, it's really interesting that you were so bold to really niche down and cut out so much of your market. And the reality is that we make up 51% of the planet. So it's not really that niche down, right? I don't work with babies. I don't work with adolescents. So I take that peds part out. I don't work in the geriatric population. So as broad as it is also pretty niche down. So from an entrepreneurial perspective, I just want to tell people, don't be afraid to focus on a market that fills you, right? That you're excited to learn more about. I think that's important. Obviously, technology is here. It's not going away. As you beautifully said, there are many, many, many issues with social media. But there's also many, many benefits, right? Two things can be true at once. So that was one of the things. I was in class with, somebody from India and somebody from London, some remarkable people who are making huge impact in this, crazy world. Even, work from home balance, and how to have a tech balanced world when when we're basically connected 24/7. So the implications, are much broader than just health and wellness. But I was super lucky to be in one of the first cohorts to come out of that school, and I made some incredible connections. And in particular, in the health and wellness industry, we need to pay attention to some of the stuff that's going on. Even the monetization of capturing so much of our information, things like tracking devices, there's not a lot of benefit to some of those things. And, what does work and what doesn't work, and what's geared specifically towards women, and what's really just geared to keeping you, on, or plugged in, or that type of thing. So I did it because I knew that it had long-reaching impact in the health and wellness space, well beyond mental health. I mean, I knew that there were things that were going to be applicable to what, I wanted to talk about. So it was a great opportunity for me, and we get to plug into ongoing conversations, and they do a great job keeping us abreast of all the new information that's coming out of Washington, D.C., and it's been great. Yeah.
Awesome. So do you have advice for female entrepreneurs, or even like students, when it does come to social media or having that phone with you 24/7?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different conversations. I think that I made the decision personally to come off of all social media probably 5 or 6 years ago. It's been a long time. So I'm on there as a business. You don't know if I'm married or unmarried. You don't know if I have kids. You don't know how, where I live. There's very little you know about me personally. A lot you know about my business and what I do for a living. There's a lot of that. That was a really good boundary for me. That is a boundary that the more research and data from people who are, smart, PhDs, psychiatrists, people in, social justice and wellness and all of that, more often than not, they're saying, you need to watch your footprint on social media, watch what you share. Not only is that digital footprint there forever, but people are taking that information and they're doing other things with it. My opinion is I don't think that kids in high school and certainly grade school should have social media accounts. I believe that. I think parents need to be super respectful of what they're sharing about their families and their personal lives on social media. I think that's super important. And then I think there's, from a digital hygiene perspective, I think tech-free dinners, tech-free cars, where everyone decides on one radio station as opposed to everyone plugged into their own device. Technology out of the bedroom. I'll talk about that till I'm blue in the face. Get an alarm clock, like tech out of the bedroom. TV's gone. Cell phone's gone. We don't need to be monitoring how much we're sleeping. Either you're waking rested or you're not waking rested. Or if you need that information, track it for 2 weeks, but you don't need to track it every day, because what we're realizing is that that's actually creating more anxiety. I didn't get this many steps in. Well, why did you need to take that many steps? I want to give you an example of this. I don't run. I typically run very tech-free. Some of that is because the athletes that I coach, we are tech-free. And so I don't run with a phone. It's not my jam. I didn't have a Garmin. I just kind of started to explore one a couple of years ago, but I use it mostly for coaching. There was a period of time where I just wanted to start listening to music, and I have this little iPod, but instead it worked that I was listening to it on my phone. And over the winter, I wore a hat, I could wear earpods. Here's the point. The point is, 4 weeks after I was done doing that, I'm like, I don't need to listen to music anymore. I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing before. All of a sudden, I started getting these notifications on my phone. You're not moving enough. You're not doing enough. Get out, do this, do that. I'm like, dude, I just ran 8 miles. What do you mean I'm not doing it? But it's like this crazy thing. And it did make me anxious. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, they're telling me I'm not moving enough. Am I not moving enough? Like, it's the point is that you have these arbitrary metrics that don't mean anything, right? Like, do I really need to be walking whatever the amount of, I don't need to do that. Like, is there someone that should? Maybe. I don't know that. That would have to be a personal conversation between me and them. But that's just some of the stuff. We get so over consumed with this information, and we don't really know what's the value of it. And does it relate to our values? And does it help me get to my why? Like, my phone tracking how many steps I take does not get me to my why I'm doing something. It just doesn't. So I don't need it. It's just some of the stuff.
Yeah, it goes back to that autopilot kind of thing. We think we need to do things because someone suggested it, and then we start doing it without really completely understanding the why of doing it. Great information. Again, let's go back to the hormone health. I know you have done a lot of research when it comes to hormone health. I would just love to hear how that is affecting the female population without us even realizing it, and busting some of those myths, like you said.
I think some of it starts earlier than we think. I think as we get DEXA scans and we're talking about like specifically bone density, osteoporosis, osteopenia. I think a lot of people are unaware that the majority of the impact of that conversation happens much earlier in our life. And I think there's some unawareness of that. I was unaware of that, to be honest with you. When you talk about the amount of nutrition and variety of nutrition you're getting in as a young adult, a healthy menstrual cycle, which again, in the population I see, which are active females, That's a big problem with them, to be honest with you. And the long-term impact as you start to go through that hormonal shift through perimenopause and menopause, the largest impact that that hormone shift has in women, which does not compare in men, is specifically related to bone density and heart health issues. And the impact to the bone density thing happens much earlier than we think. So if we're not having the conversation till 40, it's not that we can't do prevention from things getting worse, but we can't make up for the damage that was already done. I think that's alarming. And I'm not an alarmist. I mean, I'm not an alarmist.
Okay.
But I think that's something we really have to sit in. You're like, wait a minute, no matter what I do, I'm not getting that back. And the answer is no, you're not getting that back. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't stop it from getting worse. Of course, you can do that. But why aren't we having that conversation earlier? Then again, just the way we manage conversations around movement, strength training, sleep, those things, I think those are probably the three big ones, are so much different in women than they are in men. And the biggest issue and the biggest problem is there had never been any research done on women. All the research is done on men. So the information they have was relevant to a male body and male hormones. It wasn't done to women. So a lot of the information that's out there, even from a longevity perspective, isn't accurate or helpful for a woman. So I think that is super important to kind of understand. And then once you take that population of women, then we do have to talk about things like, how does what we are counseling women to do as far as either movement or nutrition, how does that change in a sedentary population versus an active population? And it does change. There are nuances, there are differences. And I think that's important to understand. I mean, I can give you some specifics as it relates, to me, where it was a real aha moment, but I can also talk more generally.
So, and it's kind of like a chemical thing that's going through your body because the
It
changes
is.
that we go through daily affect us
Yes.
and our hormones.
Yeah, and I want to stop there because this is super important.
Okay.
The reason hormone testing, and I don't know if this is what you meant, but you're right, it's daily. So the interesting thing about hormone testing is if you went and got tested this morning at 8 a.m. and then you went back at noon, your hormone levels can literally be different. That's how much they're
Really?
fluctuating and changing. That's for sure true. That is why, now forget about day of the week, day of your cycle, like forget about any of that. So that's one of the reasons why hormone testing is still not necessarily the prescription of choice, because it's not that accurate right now. Do I think it's going to get there? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a scientist. That's not my jam. I hope it does. I'm not sure it will. But some of it is just being intuitive enough to recognize how you feel. Like, how do I feel after I have a hearty breakfast? Or how do I feel after I get, so this was one of the major changes. When you're talking about fueling or nutrition, I don't want to get into specifics of plans because I think that's a whole nother conversation that like makes my head explode. But as far as getting fuel back in, calories, so that's energy, back into a person, when you're looking at the science, how that impacts muscle tissue, how that it impacts, the way those calories are recognized, they know now that a woman needs to eat. So if you do your workout, you're active within a 30-minute period to have the most benefit. And it's primarily protein. There can be some mix of carbohydrates in there, where a man can wait up to 3 hours. That's a huge difference. If you take it one step further and you look at the long-term effects, so the recovery effect of the next day, a man actually has 24 hours to be able to replace that, where a women's window is still that 30-minute window. Like, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't refueling. And I'm telling you, that is one small shift that I have made. And the difference in my recovery, the way I feel, and I still do some probably more intense things than most 6-year-olds are out there doing. Although I think every 6-year-old can get out there and do it. The way I feel has changed dramatically, dramatically. And I think the biggest thing that I want to say there is, if I approached everything as if I was the smartest person on the planet, I would never have been able to hear that. But I approach everything as, I have so much to learn, feed me more, and then let me digest it, and then let me take what serves me and then leave the rest behind. But I think so many people posture up as if they can Google any information they want. And and information is so readily available, but that information is probably not accurate, and it's probably not driven specifically to a 6-year-old female or a 25-year-old female.
Sure.
And I'm telling you, that is one small shift that I have made. And the difference in my recovery, the way I feel, and I still do some probably more intense things than most 6-year-olds are out there doing. Although I think every 6-year-old can get out there and do it. The way I feel has changed dramatically, dramatically. And I think the biggest thing that I want to say there is, if I approached everything as if I was the smartest person on the planet, I would never have been able to hear that. But I approach everything as, I have so much to learn, feed me more, and then let me digest it, and then let me take what serves me and then leave the rest behind. But I think so many people posture up as if they can Google any information they want. And and information is so readily available, but that information is probably not accurate, and it's probably not driven specifically to a 6-year-old female or a 25-year-old female.
Sure. Do you find yourself like famished after you're done with a workout anyway? That you
No,
wanna?
I wish I did.
Okay.
No, I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. I'm not.
Yeah.
I wish I was famished when I woke up in the morning. I'm not. I wish I was. I do. I wish I was. I'm not. But I do force myself to eat now. I do. I force myself to put something in my body. And
Oh,
I will tell you, some of that stuff would have changed the way I performed from an athletic perspective, for
mhm,
sure. I also think it would have changed some of the health issues that I'm dealing with today
mhm.
because of that. I wish that I had that natural drive to wake up. I look at people who wake up hungry, and I'm like, oh, I wish that was me. Like, I make myself eat because I know the value of that,
Yeah.
but that's not been me. And I don't know,
Yeah. And you're not eating,
biology, genetics. Yeah.
yeah, and you're not eating junk.
I love junk, but I'm not I'm
Yeah.
not eating junk to get myself started to go
Yeah.
perform. I mean, and when I
Yeah.
say I love junk, I mean, I think pizza is my favorite food. I love pie. I mean, I like food. I mean, I do. I like food. And
Yeah.
I love donuts. Like, I love donuts.
About metabolism with working out. What do
Yeah, that's a tough conversation. And I'm not sure the way most of the verbiage is written. You notice that I haven't kind of used that word. That was a word I used all the time,
Mhm.
particularly with what I studied in college. I used the word metabolism all the time.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure that word is relevant. I think really what you need to look at is the way the food, calories, energy, and whatever you want to call it, gets recognized. And I'm not sure. Do I think metabolism plays an impact? Yes, but not in the way I think you and I think.
Like I do the cold water dipping.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times that I find myself that my body craves food, craves calories.
Uh-huh.
And my jean size is smaller. The
Mm-hmm.
scale weighs more.
Mm-hmm.
but kind of like trying to navigate like what is going on. And of course, now being 60, things are different. I'm assuming I'm metabolizing things differently. So
Yeah. I mean, and again, that might be the word. I'm not confident that it is, just because the people that I'm looking at and reading and following, they're not using that word. So I need to ask about that. I just don't know if it's the right, I'm using a word like recognize or, take advantage of. I'm using it kind of different. I'm not sure the word metabolize, and I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if it's the right word, and maybe it's the right word. And, does the word matter? I do think the words matter. Just had this conversation this morning with my husband about something. I think Brene Brown was a genius with that. I don't know if you read Atlas of the Heart, but like words matter, like be accurate. What I do know for most of us is that I don't think health is measured on a scale. I just don't. When you look at even the social scientists, the people who are doing the deep work, the hard work, when you look at like longevity and the way people live and their experiences of their life, things that keep us well and living long are typically things like social connection, community, church, people, volunteering. Like, if whether you weigh within whatever that, parameter is, it has probably less impact on your life than going out to dinner with friends. I have things that I'm trying to accomplish from a fitness perspective. It is kind of a different conversation. If I was talking to a woman, and I don't care about her weight, so I'm not going to talk about her weight, who had, high blood pressure and cholesterol in the 300s, we'd be having a conversation. Why? Because those numbers matter and those are impactful. And I know that there are things that we can do to change that. And some of that, by the way, is having better social circles, sleeping better, maybe moving a little. But the point is, I think we focus so much on this food and this movement piece that we forget financial security. You know how much stress finances puts on people? No one talks about that. Like, that's freaking stressful for most people.
And especially women.
Especially women, right? I think, financial stress and social stress and, emotional, So I think that some of that, I think we kind of overstate. And that, one of the things I know you and I have talked about, that's why I start somebody with a values assessment, because I want to know, because almost everyone comes in and says, I want to lose weight. Well, why? Because I want to be healthy. And then when you really kind of shift through everything, you realize, they don't have a close friend. They don't have a friend they can call. Like, dude, I would be depressed if I didn't have a friend to call. They're not connected to any social groups. They don't volunteer. They are sleeping poorly. So the point is, why are we talking about food? Let's talk about these things that are going to impact your life. Let's join a cooking class. Let's connect to your values. And maybe your values are creativity, spontaneity, and all of a sudden we're saying, well, you know what? You should eat a nutrition plan or an all plant-based nutrition plan. You should get your food ordered, or you should only drink these shakes. Well, my value is spontaneity and creativity. How is that going to help me respect my values and find my way to wellness? It's not. So I think that sometimes we start in the middle with these kind of buzz things, because everyone has an experience with moving and nutrition. So that's where we start. And we're starting in the middle. Let's back way off and let's talk about what matters to you. What do you value? And then let's put a couple pieces in place. And once we get those kind of rolling, let's put a couple more pieces in place. And then let's reevaluate your values. And then let's start over again.
And that's really the piece that's missing, is that life satisfaction.
Yes. And that's why I start with that. And anyone can take the values assessment for free. It's on my website.
One other conversation you and I had on online was relationships, and relationships with food, and your relationship with alcohol and drugs and tobacco. And I really feel it really stems down to the relationship that you have with yourself.
I agree.
And for our listeners to have that awareness, how important the relationship is that we have with ourselves, because when we value ourselves, those other relationships kind of fall into place.
I agree.
This conversation is just such a great example of that a wellness coach isn't the same as like a nutritionist
Or a health coach. Yes, but I actually go through that in I share that. What's the difference between a health coach and a wellness coach? Like, there are some differences. Like, yeah, there's differences. And, what is certification? But you're right. I mean, I focus much more on let's get not that I'm not capable of telling someone how they can crush a 5K or, get super fit in the gym. I'm certainly capable of doing that. But I want to start with a more interesting conversation.
Very nice. You've put a lot of hard work into becoming the coach that you are. You are a certified coach. You're first aid certified. You're a personal trainer, a certified yoga instructor, true sports mental wellness. And there's a few more, right?
Yeah. I try to have a new certification at least every year. Sometimes I'll have like 2 in there, but most of the time I'll do 1. I'll update and have 1 new certification.
That's really great advice for an entrepreneur, because that keeps you at a minimum, that you don't push yourself in too many different directions.
Correct. And then I can get overly, like, I'm at that place now where I'm trying to make a decision about the next one that I'm going to do. And I had to take a huge pause because there's probably 3 or 4 out there that I'm super intrigued by. My gut instinct is to sign up for all of them, which is not going to be helpful to anybody, including me. So I had to take a big pause. So I'm really kind of taking a breath, and then I'm going to make a slow decision about what to do.
I love it. Just being strategic. And we had a great conversation about pausing. And how important it is just to pause and to slow down and be really strategic about where we're going in our business.
Yeah.
Again, Annemarie is a wellness coach, trainer, and activist. She has a beautiful blog on her website. So I'll put the website in the show notes, but it's sustainablelifelive.com. And you will also want to get in on her monthly newsletter. And she works with clients for a number of different reasons, but what's the number one reason why someone would reach out to you, Annemarie?
I think if you're a woman who's trying to figure out your journey or your why, I think that's a reason, why, whatever the why is, why you want to become an entrepreneur, why you want to run a half marathon, why you want to compete in high school cross country. If you're a woman that's looking to solidify your why and find your pathway forward, I think that we could figure out a relationship to move that forward.
And I love your why, Annemarie, which is leaving
a better place. A better place than where I found them.
That's beautiful. It really,
Thank you.
Collaborating and partnerships really is where we're at in this season of life for us and in this season of our businesses. Again, I appreciate your time today, Annemarie.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And please reach out to her website, sustainablelifelive.com, and look for the show notes for anything that was mentioned today. I will include in those.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
This has been awesome. Thank you. You too.
If you're ready to supercharge your email marketing and automation game, look no further than my favorite autoresponder, Active Campaign. It's the ultimate all-in-one platform designed to turn your contacts into customers and your customers into loyal advocates. Imagine having a tool that not only understands your customers, but anticipates their needs. That's what Active Campaign does. With its powerful customer experience automation, you can create personalized journeys that nurture leads, drive sales, and build lasting relationships. The biggest reason I chose Active Campaign after trying other autoresponders is because I wanted to make sure my emails were being delivered and not going into spam. I need to know that my emails actually get to the people I'm emailing so that I have good engagement rates, response rates, and click-through rates on every email I create. Then I can have peace of mind that what I send out about my blog posts or upcoming events gets delivered and that people get to read what I write. And since it's just me, using Active Campaign saves me a bunch of time because I've been setting up automations that I can just drag and drop, allowing me to save hours of time. Not only have their pre-built automations and integrations saved me time, I'm able to power a personalized marketing plan throughout the customer's life cycle. In the end, I really want to personalize my message and make sure that each person is getting a unique email tailored to them, because I don't want to be sending bulk cookie cutter emails. I want to make sure that my customers and community is getting things that are tailored to them as much as I can. Email marketing doesn't have to be crazy where you're not just pushing information. Active Campaign teaches you how to be pulling information as well. I appreciate the value I've received from Active Campaign when it comes to creating and managing email campaigns. The support through webinars, live chats, and live study halls have been very helpful in maximizing their platform and a great alternative to those other email services I've tried in the past. Active Campaign allows me to build a business without relying on advertising. It has simplified my marketing processes, saving me time, which allows me to focus on what I do best, serving my customers. Whether you're a small business or just starting or a seasoned entrepreneur, Active Campaign scales to meet your needs and grows with you. If you're ready to up your marketing game, go to my website, lisarcarmichael.com/activecampaign. That's my partner link, and sign up for a free trial. Experience firsthand the power of Active Campaign and take your marketing to a new level. Don't miss out. Stay ahead and stay automated with Active Campaign. Go to lisarcarmichael.com/activecampaign for your free trial. Hi friends, today let's have a heart-to-heart about something that's been a significant part of my life, skincare. As a busy female entrepreneur, I need a skincare routine that's quick, easy, and super effective. Turning 60 didn't bother me because I've been taking care of my skin every day for 20 plus years. I didn't always, but I'm glad I did start when I did. Let's fast forward to 1 year ago, and let me tell you about a game changer for me. I stumbled across my secret weapon, Droplet. Droplet is not your typical skincare company. It's a revolutionary approach that delivers personalized monthly skincare subscriptions tailored to your specific skin type. The magic lies in the Droplet Micro Infuser, a device that creates microscopic droplets from formulated capsules, expelling them at a high velocity to infuse ultra-concentrated active ingredients deep into your skin. Now, I'm a self-proclaimed skincare junkie. I've tried it all, from serums to spa treatments, and even once selling a natural body care line. So when I heard about Droplet, I knew I had to give it a shot. I can confidently say it's made a remarkable difference in my skin and my routine. The Droplet Skincare Micro Mist Infusing Device is a game changer. It uses a gentle mist to penetrate ingredients 20 times deeper through micro mist technology. It works with formulated capsules similar to an espresso machine, allowing you to infuse the treatments that are right for you into, not just onto, your skin. Here's how Droplet works. Choose your serum, collagen, retinol, glycolic acid, or maybe a lip plumper. Insert the capsule, hold the device to your face, and press the button. A fine mist of the serum is released onto your skin, targeting your face, your neck, chest, anywhere you want to focus on. These misting capsules have transformed my skincare routine. The results are incredible, from increased resilience to fading hyperpigmentation. Why do I love Droplet? It's quick, easy, and the capsules are recyclable. No cleanup, no hassle. And here's the bonus. Droplet's formulas are clinical strength, dermatologist recommended, cruelty-free, sulfate-free, paraben-free, gluten-free, soy-free, fragrance-free, and vegan. It's a skincare lover's dream. If you're looking to level up your skincare routine and evolve beyond the basics, Droplet is your answer. Plus, they offer free skin consultations with their estheticians to address your skin concerns. Investing in a good skincare routine and self-care is crucial for any woman, especially us busy entrepreneurs. First impressions matter, and you want to put your best face forward. It's time to evolve and embrace the next level of skincare. Head over to the Droplet link on my website today, where you can start your own personalized Droplet routine. Here's to glowing, radiant, and fiercely beautiful you, no matter what age you are. Go to lisarcarmichael.com/droplet. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Time for You for Female Entrepreneurs. If you loved this episode as much as I did, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and if you want to support the show, leaving a review goes a long way. A special shout out to our amazing partners and sponsors. Their support allows us to continue bringing you engaging content every week. And with that, a big thank you. I look forward to seeing you next time.